Hi everybody, welcome back. My name is Lynn and I am Pretty Papercraft 67. Today I am sharing my design team project for Lavender Blue for December. This month I chose to use one of Fiona's digital kits called Grandma's Scrapbook. It's a very nostalgic type printable, typically what you would find in old-fashioned photograph albums. But I've just done a little bit of a twist on it and I've made it into more of a scrapbook type of situation, as the name depicts. So, yeah, I have not made it exceptionally chunky, but there is still a lot in this journal. And I have made a soft cover of fabric, and I've done a like a cotton wadding in between. I've made it a patchwork type design with lots of laces and some beautiful fabrics, some buttons. I have gone through a lot of when my grandma passed away, I was able to grab some very special memories, I suppose, keepsakes from her. So I've included some of those in this journal. This key, for instance, was a key from her wardrobe. These buttons were from her sewing kit that I have just tied onto my centre strings and made a dangle. This button, this brass button, is from her sewing basket. Yeah, some fabrics I've purchased from Deborah Ricks, and different types of laces, some little floral motifs, and I've just made a little tie with some fabric tied around that button as my closure, and I've just lined it with some cotton fabric on the inside. So the Grandma Scrapbook kit, it's a 6-page kit, so you have 12 pictures within the kit, and I've scattered them throughout this album, and I've actually embellished the pages. This is a page from the kit. So I've gone through my Edith Holden book and I've just cut some floral images and married them up with the pictures, and then put different bits, like this one's November and so forth. So the pictures in the kit are a sepia tone, so they match in very well with the old-fashioned nostalgic feel of this journal. So that's page number 1. That's like I said, a page from the kit. And then I've just gone through, like I said, some of my grandmother's keepsakes that I was able to have, and she had a lot of these Australian Home Journal magazines. I don't have a date on this one, but the pictures, the things that I've picked for this journal date back to 1953 and 1959, and this type of thing here is like one of the advertisements in the journal for like hair shampoo. And this book is very reminiscent to me of things that I would find at my grandmother's houses. You'd open drawers and there'd be piles of magazine clippings and specials and coupon codes and, or not codes, coupons, and all sorts of things in drawers. So I sort of cast my mind back to when I was young, and the things that I remember seeing lying around the house I've kind of put into a journal. So that would be a magazine, that is a magazine advertisement. I've also used Fiona's gypsy cabinet cards to make some cabinet cards, so I've got 4 of those scattered throughout the album. And I've also used the Pink Floral Dreams from Fiona as the background on my cabinet cards. This page here is just like an address book page that I've got this Victorian vintage book that I thought that the images worked really well in this journal. And on this side it's just like childhood illnesses and how you would treat them in those days gone by. I've done a lot of flip outs like this sort of thing throughout it, just like typically of an old scrapbook. Here, this one's November 2nd, 1953, and it's how to make ice cream at home with junket tablets. And I can remember being a kid and my mum making us junket for dessert. So typically this would be the type of thing that I would have seen at my grandmother's house. Also, I've printed out the pages for the album, but then I've also reprinted the same pages and made them into large journaling cards. So throughout the album there is another 12 of these journaling cards throughout, and I've machine stitched around them all. This here is from a Sears catalogue that I have, and that would be in the 1930s around about, fashions, shoes that they would wear in those times. Another page from the Grandma Scrapbook Kit, and again I've just embellished it with the Edith Holden floral and just a little date label there. I have another book here at home called My Mother's Ways, and I went through and I picked out some various pictures from that book as well, and this one's like the Australian General Electric, so the old Ringer washing machine that we used to have actually at home when I was a kid, where you'd have to feed your wet washing through the Ringer, through the rollers to dry it, to sort of squeeze the water out. So, and I've kept that one as a bit of a pocket there, so you can put some stuff in there if you wanted to. Another image from that Victorian book that I have. It's just such pretty collage of all types of different vintage images, so I thought they went really well in this book. Here is another page from the Australian Home Journal, and this one, hasn't got a date on this one, but yes it does, 1958. And my mum was a machinist. She left school at 13 and started working at the factory in Southport at the Gold Coast, and worked her way up to forewoman before she left and married my dad. So this is the type of, my mum made a lot of our clothing, she made all of her clothing, and so this is the type of thing that she would have looked at. 1958, my mum would have been 18, so she definitely would have looked at things like this. And then this is just another flip out fabrics, and this is definitely the type of clothing that my mum wore. She made all her own clothes, so you know, the fitted waists and the bodices and the long big skirts and things like that. So I just thought that was very reminiscent of my mum. I've just done an altered paper bag. I've just got some material and some lace, and I've just taken two images from the Grandma's Scrapbook from Fiona's kit and just made those into journal cards, and I've just done a little bit of hand stamping on some of them, so they fit nicely in these pockets. Again, another page from the kit, and again I've just embellished it with some Edith Holden and a number. That's a page number from an Edith Holden book. But this is beautiful. It's like azaleas, so it's on the sepia to have the bright pink flowers. It looks really very pretty. And again, I've machine stitched down all the focal pages, so that I've got all the strings hanging out, which makes it look really raggy, which is typical of a scrapbook that I would have seen in my grandmother's house. I have decorated a lot of the pages, so throughout this book I've just made some little flip notebooks with some very old vintage paper that was in my grandma's drawer, and I've just taken some fabric and just lined the top, so they're stuck down there. Again, this is another advertisement from the Australian Home Journal, a walnut cake, and this was again something that was very typical to find a pile of old recipes and things that, you know, because my grandmother, she cooked all the time. And yeah, I've just put a little bit of a bias binding tab on there. And here I've just put another altered paper bag. I've flipped it over the page, so again that's a journal card that I've made from a page from the kit, and I've just embellished that little bag with just a couple of little tags there. And on that side the paper bag is there. I haven't put anything in that one, but it is open for something to go in, and another one of the cabinet cards, the Gypsy cabinet cards from Fiona. Another one of the Victorian book pages, and this has got recipes on the other side. And here is another page from the kit that again I've just cut some Edith Holden floral and put that there, and did a little bit of hand stamping on the top of that one. Excuse my voice. Allergies. Another page from the Victorian book, which is an address book, and there's just some pretty little notes on the side here. And I've just kept that as a flip there. And on that side, what's that all about? Oh, different vegetables and how to use them or how to grow them. I'm not sure. This is something that's very typical from my grandmother's place, the big ceramic bowl and jug. So I cut out a picture and put that one there. And a little envelope that I've just put in some coffee stained paper in there. And then just a little tag from my mother's ways, just a little picture tag there. I've popped in behind the envelope. This here is an actual handkerchief from my grandmother, and she would have done this hand embroidery on the corners. So I've just attached a little gold safety pin there to make it like a pocket, and inside I have just again made just a little notebook just out of some old paper that I found in a drawer at my grandmother's house. So that one just lives in there nicely. Again, another page from the kit, and again I've just embellished it with some Edith Holden, some leaves, and the date, the month being June on this one. Again, an old antique clock. We actually have one of these at my mum's house. The wind-up one, it used to chime every hour. It doesn't work anymore, but it looks very similar to this picture on this page. Again, another magazine page from My Mother's Ways, and it's again just a hints and tips on different types of things that they would have done way back then. This is all about making jam. And what's this? Keep paraffin wax. Yeah, it's just little hints and tips. Oh, brilliant stuff. Love it all. I've had this book for a long time. And yeah, lovely ideas. And it's funny, you know, a lot of these ideas have been lost in time, but reading through them, they make so much sense. Another page from the kit, and I've just embellished with some butterflies just to keep in with the butterfly theme there. And here is another page from the kit that I've turned into a journaling card and just backed it onto some coffee stained paper. And this envelope here is an actual envelope of my grandparents. It's addressed to my grandfather, and I've kept it plain. It's date stamped in 1972, the 3rd of March. So that is definitely an old envelope. And it's a pocket in there, so I've just pulled out of the Australian Home Journal just a whole lot of different advertisements on different types of foods and what you can do with them, like Kellogg's All Brand and Rosella Pickles. What have we got there? Foster Clark's Custard. And this one here is, what is that about? Continental chicken noodle soup, and again, like, it's dated 1953, and they're all original magazine cutouts. So I've just embellished a little paper clip there with a bit of cotton fabric, and I'll just pop them inside that envelope there. And the journal card I've just attached there. Oh, missed you. I'll pop them away later. And on this side I've just made a couple of little tags, manila tags, and this is just a pretty little card. I don't know if you can see that, but it's got glitter on there. Very typical of a card that you would find. There's no dates, there's no Hallmark stamp or anything like that on it. But yeah, lots of nice journaling space there. And this here's just a picture from My Mother's Ways. They're, you know, Australian ways back in the day. Yeah, early 1900s through. Typical what you'd see of a family. I did some hand stamping throughout pages just so that there was journaling space. And again, this is just a kitchen information page on different weights and cooking temperatures and bits and pieces, oven temperatures and metric converting pounds to ounces and things like pounds to grams and things like that. And this here again is another journal card that I've made from pages from the kit, and because it had the daisy background, I've just chosen just a daisy flower. It's sort of a 3D thing, so I've just popped that one on there. Another sewing page, 1953. This one is dated, and again I've put it in there because it would have been very typical of what my mum would have looked for and bought patterns for and then made the clothing. So that is very, when we look back at photographs of my mum in her late teens, early 20s, these are definitely the styles of clothing that she wore, and I know she made all her own clothing. Just some old home remedies for like shampoo for normal hair and how you make the shampoo and hair care back in the early days, 1930s, 1940s type of thing. This one here again, another journal card, a page from the kit that I've made into a journal card there. And I have just made a few little envelopes. If I can just get that one off. Just made a couple of little envelopes just in like the old time farm, because my grandparents did live on a farm, so the old cream can and stuff like that. They lived on a farm and then they moved to the Gold Coast. Well, I don't even know what dates, but yeah, early on. And yeah, so I thought that was a bit reminiscent. This is the other side of that envelope, and it is actually my grandfather and their address back in the day when they lived at Beenleigh. So I had one set of grandparents that lived at Beenleigh in Queensland, and another set of grandparents that lived on the Gold Coast. And this one here, this is an actual letter that I that I wrote to my grandmother, obviously for one of her birthdays. I probably would have been about 6 when I wrote this. For a lovely lady like you. And yeah, to dear grandma, have a happy birthday, love from Lynn. So some of my very, very original artwork there. Yeah, so this is something that I wouldn't sell with this journal. I will keep that with me forever, but I just wanted to put it in there just to show the age of the book and the things within this book. Again, a couple of advertisements from the Australian Home Journal back in the day. This one is for Palmolive soap. Doctors prove Palmolive can bring you a lovely complexion in 14 days. So I don't know if that's true or not, but it sounds impressive. And then this one here was just lace collars that you used to be able to buy, and how explanations of how you would use these lace collars in your clothing. So I thought that was pretty there. Again, another page from the kit that I have just embellished with some Edith Holden floral images and another date label. And then again, I've just popped in this page another one of these little notebooks. So there is still a fair amount of journaling space within this journal. Another page from the My Mother's Ways, which is again hints and tips of what they would have used in the day. For this one here is specifically for their beauty routines. And yeah, it flips out there on the side like so. And on this, I've just attached another one of these cabinet cards that I made with the vintage gypsy cabinet card printable from Fiona's shop. Just a little fabric flip that I've made, a bit of lace, a button, a little coat hanger and a little metal key. And I've just attached that with a bulb pin there. Another page from the kit, and again just embellished with the Edith Holden florals. And this is the other side to the handkerchief that is my grandmother's, and again she would have hand embroidered, crocheted all these little areas in this hanky. She was very clever at that type of thing. So yeah, so I just again attach a little gold safety pin to make it a pocket. And there's another journaling card that I've made from pages from the kit, just backed onto some coffee dye. So that's that one. Again, just another journaling page, a bit of hand stamping and just a cutout. Another page from the magazine, the Australian Home Journal, for sewing patterns. They, as I don't have a date on this one, it might be on the other side. 1959. So as it started to go, progress in years, then they started bringing in the colour images. So considering my mum made a lot of our clothing, this would have been something that she would have been interested in. And there's just an advertisements for Persil, it must be some sort of laundry soap, laundry liquid or powder. Another large journaling card that I made from pages from the kit, and I've just attached that there with this paper clip. And another page from the kit, and I've just popped some Edith Holden on there as well. Another one of the pages from the Victorian magazine. Now this here is an envelope, an original envelope. This writing says Dad, and that is my uncle's handwriting. I don't have a date on it, but you can see the age of the envelope. I've left it just as it is. I've done a little bit of hand stamping there. Inside, I've made that a flip out piece there, and I've just backed it with some of the Sears and Roebuck catalogue. Put in another little page, a little notebook there, and then inside there I've just put another journaling card that I've made from the kit, machine stitched and distress inked around there. So yeah, so that is very original with my uncle's handwriting on there. Again, 1953, another page of patterns that you would have been able to order through this particular magazine, and then, I don't know if that's some in frame, and then making toys, which is what they did back in the day. And then I've just used the side of the envelope for another flip for another journal card made from pages from the kit. Plain page for some journaling. Another page from the kit, which I've embellished with the Edith Holden. A little bit of hand stamping there for the journal page. This one here, I've just made a belly band with assorted bits and pieces that I had here at home. And then I've just put a page from that My Mother's Ways in there. This one is about mending clothing. So back in the day, they recycled everything back in the day. And then this one here, I just made a little booklet type thing, like a little page on a little piece of paper, machine stitched down the side. So they live in this little area here. Another page from that Victorian book that I have with the collage of all the beautiful images. Another of the cabinet cards that I made using the Gypsy Cabinet Card Ladies and the Pink Floral Dreams. And this one here is just a homemade bath tonic. What have they got? Yeah, pine needles. So a homemade bath tonic based on pine needles. So there you go. And yeah, just some other interesting bits and pieces on the back of that. Another page from the kit, which again I've embellished with the Edith Holden. This page here, I've taken a advertisement from the My Mother's Ways and made a pocket. And then I've used a page from the kit that I've created a journal card with. And then there was some advertisements in that magazine. I've just made another journal card there. And this would have been something very typical that I would have seen at my grandmother's home, just little clippings. And because, you know, they didn't have a stapler and a paper clip wasn't always handy, my grandmother would always stick things together with safety pins. So that was something that, yeah, would have been sitting around on a drawer or a cabinet in a pile of newspapers somewhere, that type of thing. And then again, I've just done another flip out here with some more interesting information. Steak and kidney pie. So this one is on cooking and how to boil eggs and how to cool dip meat pies in and out of cold water before reheating. There you go. So it's really interesting stuff. And then another altered paper bag at the end here that again I've just put some old advertisements for. This is some sort of old Dutch cleans like lightning. Geez, I wish we had that today. Contains no caustic or acids to hurt your hands. And then just another another page, and this again is on different cooking techniques and hints and tips on how they made their, like this one, a lemon delicious pudding. So yeah, wonderful stuff. So I've just popped those into that altered paper bag there. And then the very last page again is a page from the kit, which I've embellished with the Edith Holden. So there you go. So, and yeah, it's a nice soft cover. And again, back side of it, and then I just, yeah, that's my attachment there, just a piece of fabric tied around that little button. So there, thank you so much for joining me today. This is a very special journal to me, but I will be probably putting it up for sale in the Etsy store in the next couple of days, so if you're interested, take a look over there. Yeah, thank you so much for joining me today. I will link the kit below. Thank you again, Fiona, for the opportunity to work with your beautiful kits. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Well, it's quite early. I just thought I would get in and get this done before the heat starts, because in Brisbane today, I suppose Australia-wide, we're in for a very hot day. So keep cool if you're in Australia. Have a wonderful day. I hope you get some time for crafting, and I'll see you all on the next video. Thank you. Bye-bye.